A warlock and the witch hunter pursuing him are somehow transported to modern day, where the warlock, played by Julian Sands, who I will forever refer to as Warlock, is tasked with finding a book for Satan that'll destroy the world, you know. The witch hunter, played by Richard E. Grant, partners up with local gal Laurie Singer to track the warlock down.
What is it?
Please do not even breathe on it.
Some kind of compass?
Which compass?
This one here.
What of it?
What is it?
As I say, 'tis a witch compass.
Oh, you mean witch?
Despite two great performances from the male leads, Warlock has some issues. The Warlock casts a spell on Laurie Singer, which starts aging her rapidly. This is her motivation for tagging along to find the Warlock.
Tout, tout, through and about your callow life in dismay. Rentum osculum tormentum. A decade twice over a day.
It's kind of a bold creative choice to take your somewhat attractive female lead and immediately start making her look worse and worse as the film goes on. Also, with all the chaos happening, Singer plays the role a little too whimsical for my tastes, like a modern-day Doctor Who companion. Just a lot of, wee, everything's fine stuff.
Our interest lies in stopping those who would see all good falter. It lies in stopping the powers of misrule from coming of age. It lies in finding that damned book and thwarting a vile beast of a man who shall not rest until God himself is thrown down and all of creation becomes Satan's black hell besmeared farting hole.
You asked.
Warlock has an interesting behind-the-scenes story. It was made during the decline of New World Pictures and shelved when that company went bankrupt. 2 years later, it was picked up by Trimark and became a modest little hit for that company, spawning 2 lackluster sequels, unfortunately, and even a video game. The talent behind the camera is pretty remarkable for a shelved film. Director Steve Miner helmed both Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. Screenwriter David Twohy gave us The Fugitive and the Riddick movies. And you've got a score from Jerry Goldsmith. Not one of his best, mind you, but not shabby either. Like Leviathan earlier this season, Warlock could totally use a remake. The effects here are awkward at times, and some of the wire work is downright silly. I mean, this looks like dudes flying a Julian Sands kite, for crying out loud. Warlock is kind of fascinating, both for its on-camera story and for the behind-the-scenes turmoil. And you can still have some fun watching it, despite the outdated effects.
You can't punt on first down. Nobody does that, not even Tampa Bay.
Ooh, sick burn.
Update.
Since that initial review, Warlock has been released on Blu-ray as part of Vestron Video's Warlock collection. I'll get to Warlocks 2 and 3 in the future, but for now I wanted to revisit Warlock the First, and dish on all the extra features the first disc in the set contains. Watching Warlock again was fun, and while most of my original review stands, I don't think I gave both Richard E. Grant and Julian Sands enough credit for acting the shit out of their goofy roles. They're all in on this thing, and that helps a lot. I wish I could say Jerry Goldsmith's score had grown on me over time, but it still seems middling. I like his main Warlock theme just fine, I just don't think it's orchestrated very well. All the flying stuff is still silly, and this bit will make me laugh like an idiot every time I see it. But Warlock doesn't feel like other horror movies of the era, and overall that makes it a refreshing watch. I'll go ahead and bump that old rating up a bit and land on 3 stars for Warlock, which translates to a recommended in the new rating scheme. It's enjoyable in lots of dumb ways. Extras are bountiful on this first disc in the Warlock collection. The movie itself has 2 alternate audio tracks, one commentary with director Steve Miner, and another that's an isolated score track with interview snippets from author Jeff Bond, who has written extensively about film and TV soundtracks. Next up is a featurette called Satan's Son, which is a 25-minute interview with the Warlock himself, Julian Sands. In it, he talks about his beginnings as an actor and mentions that when the film was first pitched to him, Sean Connery was going to be playing Richard E. Grant's character. Others seem to refute this later. He then references how disappointing it was that the film was shelved after New World went out of business, a sentiment others convey as well elsewhere on the disc. Eventually, he starts discussing the Warlock sequels, and so let's hit pause on that and come back to it at a later date. The Devil's Work is a 16-minute interview with director Steve Miner. Its notable moments include him taking full blame for the film's poor flying effects, and a running discussion begins here about a deleted scene that's slightly notorious in horror FX circles. During Mary Warrenov's brief scene early in the film, a bit that would have involved her nipples turning into eyeballs and then her body freezing and shattering into pieces was cut out. Accounts seem to differ as to exactly when it was cut, but Miner explains that after a test screening, where the audience just burst into laughter at the sight of the effect, he had it removed from the film. Effects of Evil is another 16-minute interview, this time with FX creators Carl Fullerton and Neil Martz. They also discuss the Warnov deleted scene with lots of photos of the effect in question, although they seem to have a different recollection as to when it was actually cut. Like the Steve Miner interview though, no actual footage of the effect is shown. That leads you to assume that the footage was destroyed or lost to time. However, it should be noted that amongst the trailers and TV spots on the disc, you can see a portion of the scene in both the theatrical trailer and the later home video preview. Finally, there's over an hour of archival footage from the film's production, which includes 18 minutes of just raw behind-the-scenes footage, 40 minutes of on-set interviews with the cast and crew, including one with screenwriter David Twohy, which is his only appearance on the disc. Then there's 6 minutes of footage with young Carl Fullerton and Neil Martz, heartbreakingly describing how they're going to pull off the now-deleted Warnov gag. And last but not least is another 6-minute FX segment detailing some of the matte painting and other visual trickery performed in the film, and honestly if I hadn't seen this I would have never known those shots weren't real. Based on just this first disc, I definitely say the set is worth a purchase. Sure, that might get soured a bit as I get to the sequels soon, but this first film is a fine little movie with a windfall of historical information to accompany it. Check back later this year, hopefully, for a review of the rest of the set.
The altar table, he broke it?
Yeah, he broke it.